All right, guys, welcome in. It is another edition of the Red Friday Live Chat. It's been a month since we've last done a Red Friday Live Chat. Decided to put the Red Friday Live Chat on hiatus because, in the summertime, June, and the majority of July, there isn't a whole lot to talk about with the Kansas City Chiefs. But now training camp is underway, and today was kind of a significant day for the Kansas City Chiefs. A lot was talked about over at St. Joe from team president Mark Donovan regarding some things with the Chiefs' future. So a lot of things to get into on that front as well. Also recap some of training camp that we've had so far with the rookies that were in St. Joe. And keep in mind, it is a padless training camp for the rookies. They've got the helmet and the shorts on, no pads or anything like that. So, you can't put too much stock into these kinds of things, but it is still, it's training camp. It's that time of year. So it's good to see the Chiefs back at it. One of the first teams to get training camp going. So it's good to see the Chiefs out there. All right, like I said, this is the first edition of the Red Friday Live Chat I've done in quite some time. So if you guys have any questions, comments, whatever is on your mind, comment below. Let me know your thoughts or whatever questions you want me to ask. That is the purpose of the Red Friday Live Chat. So let's get things underway. While you guys are asking your questions, I'll kind of start things off talking about the Chiefs and everything they have done up to this point. And one guy that's getting a lot of headlines recently is Luis Rees-Zammit, the rugby turned NFL player. They have him at running back for now. A lot of anticipation that he's going to play some wide receiver later on during his tenure with the Chiefs as well. So, yeah, obviously a lot of people are excited for this kid. And I think a lot of people are eager to see what is he going to do. What is he going to do this season for this football team? I've talked about his transition and what it's going to look like for the Chiefs this year as a rookie. And I think the whole putting on a helmet and putting on pads is going to be the big part for him. Obviously, the helmet with the limited vision, that is something he's going to have to get used to because in rugby, you don't have a helmet on. And then, getting tackled in rugby can be much different than getting tackled in football and that kind of adjustment. But he's been training, he's already put on a helmet and done some of that. I don't know how much activity he's had putting on pads. Obviously you can't do that kind of thing in OTAs or in the rookie portion of training camp. So I would imagine he had at least have to done it at least once to be able to get some kind of adjustment to that. But we haven't really seen too much of that or any of that from him on the practice fields from the Chiefs. So hopefully we're going to see some good things out of him. I know Mahomes did throw a touchdown pass to him in training camp. I think the first training camp practice. So that was good to see. He's talked about, how much he's been studying the playbook nonstop and how important it is to him. So obviously that's one guy that a lot of people want to pay close attention to in training camp and in these preseason games. I can tell you right now, that first preseason game, I think against Jacksonville, definitely looking forward to seeing what the Chiefs will do with LRZ in that first game. Again, I think it's going to be against Jacksonville. That is on the 10th. Let me quickly look at the preseason schedule. All the games. Oh, no, never mind. I thought for some reason all the games were at the same time. Let's see. The first two games, the 10th and the 17th, are both on a Saturday. Different times, though. The first one on the 10th against the Jaguars, that is at 6 o'clock. And then they come home on the 17th to play the Lions. And then the Bears on the 22nd. The Chiefs are going to be at Arrowhead for quite some time. It'll be a while before the Chiefs have their first away game from week 2 of the preseason all the way to week 3 of the regular season. So yeah, obviously I'm not putting too much stock in the preseason portion of it, but the fact that they don't have to travel to start things off for a while, I think that is actually very significant as well. Hey, for those of you coming in late, if you guys want ask a question, let me know your thoughts on anything that is on your mind. I'm going to get some quick thoughts out of the way, and then I'll get to all of your guys' questions. So if you guys have a question, comment, whatever it is on your mind you want to speak out, comment below, and I will get to that shortly. I have like a crazy setup right in front of me here. I actually got a new desk, allowing me to do a lot more. Let me see. It looks nice on your guys' end here, but let me take a quick picture here. There. See, you guys wouldn't know this watching from the live portion, but this is what it looks like. See all those tripods and just the whole thing. It is a crazy mess in front of me here. I'm still working on organizing everything here. I'll get to that eventually. So yeah, let me know what is on your guys' mind, and we'll chat it up. That's what the Red Friday live chat's all about. I mentioned LRZ, he's out of the way. Let's go to another rookie here. This one's a draft pick in the fourth round, Jared Wiley, who spoke to the media earlier this week as well, talking about how much he's learned from Kelce. Kind of hinted that he has kind of picked up the one big thing he's picked up from Kelce is how to improvise on plays. That is what makes Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, that duo, so unique and so dynamic, is that when there's a busted play, or if defenders are in certain places that Mahomes cannot get the Kelce knows. It's almost like they have this silent type of interaction, like telekinesis kind of, where one knows what the other is thinking, and Kelce just goes out there, runs a different route, and Mahomes expects him to go in that direction already, and that's why the two do such a great job. And if Jared Wiley can pick up that kind of thing from Travis Kelce, I'd say it's pretty good. Look, I know a lot of people are very excited about Jared Wiley, and don't get me wrong, I think Jared Wiley will get involved. I still think Noah Gray is your number 2 tight end. I really do. Again, this is all, provided everyone stays healthy, which we know injuries can become a thing. Irv Smith Jr., who came over from the Bengals, that's another guy too that's on the roster, but I don't know. I would say his chances of making the team little bit of an uphill battle. If the Chiefs do keep 4 tight ends, I think Irv Smith is going to be that 4th guy. But Jared Wiley, another interesting name that I think the Chiefs are intrigued by, and another guy that I'll definitely be keeping an eye on in the preseason, someone who is expected to play a lot of preseason football for the Chiefs this season. CBS Sports came out with this list. It was every team's biggest question mark, and for the Chiefs, it was left tackle. And for some of them, they put one position / a second position. I would say for the Chiefs, it's left tackle / wide receiver. I know the Chiefs wide receiver core is better than last year's. I've been saying that all off season long, but you still got to see it to believe it. You know what I mean? Because I think some people are, just want that confirmation. And I don't want that confirmation in the preseason. I want it in the first quarter of the Baltimore game to see how the Chiefs are going to do right out of the gate with that offense. I know Andy Reid's never going to do this, but I hope the Chiefs lose the coin toss, because if the Chiefs win the coin toss, they always defer. That is Andy Reid, what he does 100 times out of 100. Always will defer. So I kind of want to lose the coin toss in this scenario for the season opener. Let Baltimore decide, and hopefully they defer, and the Chiefs get the ball to start off the season. I want to see what that Chiefs offense is going to look like from the get-go. I don't want them to be on the sidelines to start things off. I don't know why. I'm so fixated on that kind of thing. Like I get Andy Reid, the way he kind of does things. He wants to get the ball to open up the second half in case things go wrong in the first half, or you're trailing by 1 or 2 scores in the first half. But I want the ball to open up the season. I want to see what this offense looks like right away. Not because I'm impatient and I can't wait for one drive, but because I want the Chiefs on the first drive of the entire NFL season to make a statement. Because let's be honest here, 15, 20 years ago, NFL players and coaches, they were so good at saying that they don't care what the public says and they don't ever hear it. Well, now in the social media era, it's so different. Players do care. Coaches do care. They're aware of it. They know every. Listen, Mark Donovan. Oh, I'm sorry, not Mark Donovan. Brett Veach at the Super Bowl parade. He picked up the Super Bowl 57 trophy. He said this was a rebuilding year. And then he picked up the Super Bowl 58 trophy. And he said, this is a down year, which is exactly what a lot of people said about the Chiefs during those two seasons. When the Chiefs beat the Bengals in the AFC title game, Clark Hunt did a press conference after the game, and he's even referred to the national media's reaction to the Chiefs and how people thought they would struggle because they traded Tyreek Hill. So from the owner to the players, the entire organization knows what people are thinking. So why not go out there and silence a lot of doubters with a red hot drive to open up the season? Now, one drive does not dictate how things are going to look for the entire season. It can certainly set the tone, but you can absolutely make a statement to open up the season. I want to see the Chiefs do that to start the 2024 season, getting the ball first. Let's see here. But yeah, as far as CBS Sports and their comment about the left tackle spot, yeah, I mean, I think that is the number one, biggest question mark for the Chiefs. Look, listen, Wanya Morris looked good when he filled in at times, or Donovan Smith when he was injured. And then when, as things went on, you saw Wanya Morris go through that rookie learning curve, going up against some of the tougher pass rushers in the NFL, Max Crosby, Trey Hendrickson. Definitely got a nice introduction to the NFL, dealing with some of the best pass rushers on his side of where he usually blocks. So how does a guy like Wanya Morris try to step up and improve for 2024? How does Kingsley Suamataia, what does he bring to the table? And what can he do to help the Chiefs offensive line improve? I'm just looking across the board, is there starting competition anywhere? Your three wide receivers are Worthy, Hollywood, and Rice. Tooney, Humphrey, assuming Tooney's healthy and available for week 1. Humphrey, Smith, Jawan Taylor, Kelsey, Mahomes, Pacheco, all those positions. It's just a tackle spot on offense. I'm trying to think on defense. Karlaftis, Chris Jones. I could see Derek Notty's position kind of being up for grabs. Maybe Mike Dana's position being up for grabs. Let's see here. Leo Chenal and Jack Cochran, maybe, but not too much. The cornerback position, I think, is interesting because you have, listen, I know on a base 4-3, you only have two cornerbacks, but the Chiefs run a lot of nickel and dime, more than any team in the NFL. It's just, who do they feel comfortable with the slot cornerbacks, positions, and who they feel is better on the outside with those things. So I don't really know if there's starting competition there, because I think whoever your third and fourth quarterbacks are, the slot cornerbacks, are going to be used a lot this season, and might, if you're playing on the first snap of the game, that's technically considered a start. So usually with defensive players, that's not really a huge deal at the end of the day. Okay, before I get to questions, and again, for those of you who are tuning in a little late, please ask your questions below. Any comments you want to get out there. Let me know your thoughts on anything you want answered, and I will get to those shortly. Before I get to your questions, I do want to talk about Mark Donovan. He did a very lengthy press conference today, talking about the team in St. Joe, and how he anticipates the Chiefs to stay at St. Joe. Although he did say that he's anticipating the Chiefs to continue to do 2-3 year extensions with St. Joe, just because that makes sense and they want that flexibility, but still anticipates that they're going to continue to re-sign with St. Joe every time the contract is up. Here's my thing, because I know personally, I hate the fact that, you have grown ass adults who are going to be living the dorm lifestyle. Like, I'm sorry, I can't get behind that. You guys, I mean, if you've been to college, a lot of you guys have been to a dorm. You know what that's like. It's just not conducive to someone that's 22, 23, 24 and up. It's just not that. Maybe if you're 22 and you just graduated from college, like Xavier Worthy or Jared Wiley, Kingsley, guys who just, went through that experience in their life. Okay, maybe they can kind of get over it and just kind of deal with it because they've just had that recently in their lives. But I don't know, man, like Mahomes, Kelsey, Jones, Winchester, Butker, like those guys have been around long enough. That's not the lifestyle they want anymore. It's just not. But Donovan did say today that when they're in that dorm lifestyle, they connect more, they spend a lot more time together versus, when they're, if they were to do it in Kansas City, when they can all pretty much break off and go their own ways after practice. A lot of teams today, and I don't have the exact number in front of me, but a majority of the teams today don't do remote training camps. They just do it at their own practice facility. So I don't know. I've just never been a big fan, and no disrespect to St. Joe. I've been there a couple times for camp. It is a nice place to go. Never been to River Falls. Never had that opportunity. Personally, I would just be curious to go to River Falls one of these days, to just kind of see what that city is like, just to get a gist of what training camp was like when the Chiefs were there. Because I mean, you can watch the 2007 Hard Knocks series all you want, but you still will not get a good understanding of what that city is like unless you experience it yourself. So like a weird small bucket list kind of thing for me is to be able to experience River Falls one of these days. So maybe I will, maybe I won't. I know it's not too far from Minneapolis to my understanding. So now the big stuff from Mark Donovan was the stadium talk. He made it very clear today. It didn't really give a whole lot of information, but he made it very clear that the Chiefs have been in contact and have been having discussions with both the state of Missouri and the state of Kansas. And one thing that Mark Donovan did say is that they want to do it right. If you guys have been listening to me long enough, you know that I have been saying for a long time, I do not give a damn where the Chiefs go as long as two things. One, they're still in the Kansas City metro area. Number two, they do it right. I've been saying all offseason, all year long, if the Chiefs are going to do anything, whether it's renovations or build a brand new stadium, do it right. The Chiefs just spent an entire week in Vegas using the Raiders practice facility, which is obviously fairly brand new, and their stadium for the Super Bowl, which is also fairly brand new. So they were able to study the environment, the campus, all of that stuff during their week there. I mean, surely someone from the Chiefs front office, multiple people, took notes on the things that worked and didn't work for the Raiders in their new facility. The Chiefs constantly visit the Chargers and the Raiders every year, and that's a situation where you go visit your two division rivals, both with state-of-the-art brand new stadiums, and that's an opportunity to learn when you're going out there. And even last year, going to visit the new Minnesota Viking stadium that they built a couple of years ago, the Atlanta Falcons stadium, I think they go visit that this year. So there's an opportunity for sure to continue to visit these stadiums, learn, figure out what works, what doesn't work for these teams in their new stadiums, and how do you implement that to your whole project if you're going to build a brand new stadium. Listen, I do think it's time for the Chiefs to get a new stadium. Again, I know Arrowhead is, it is a sacred environment to every single fan, even Clark Hunt and his family, with everything that venue means to them. But it is a damn old stadium, and it is time to move on. I think. I think it is time to go and build a brand new stadium. And again, I don't care where it is. They can do it right there in the Truman Sports Complex if they want to. Just do it right. It's what I've been saying for a very long time. Bring in Super Bowls, bring in Final Fours, bring in WrestleManias, bring in major concerts where musicians are using indoor stadium. Because honestly, man, I love Arrowhead, love Kansas City, but who loves to go to an outdoor concert in this humidity we have in the summertime. And we're going to start having some of these concerts in the near future. I know we had Kenny Chesney recently, if I recall correctly. Taylor Swift was here last year, did 2 nights in a row. Obviously, that was a huge deal for obvious reasons. I believe Beyonce was here the same night the Chiefs had the Sunday Night Football game against the Jets. So you have a lot of those. I mean, the Chiefs have been doing a lot more of these concerts compared to like 10, 15 years ago when they did not do these for the longest time. I think the only like non-sporting event that had took place at Arrowhead for the longest time was like the Billy Graham event, something along those lines, because Arrowhead went a really long time before they did another concert. I can't remember the first concert they did after renovations, but that is when they kind of started doing concerts again at Arrowhead. I know Kauffman Stadium avoided doing concerts for a very long time. To my understanding, the story I got is that the Kauffmans, the stadium had a concert, and I don't remember who it was, but whoever was performing, they just completely ruined the baseball field. And the Kauffmans' wishes were that they never do a concert at that stadium ever again. Obviously, times change, you move on, you find ways to protect the grass, of course, and not let it get ruined while the Royals are on a road trip, and you figure all that stuff out. Obviously, Kansas feels like the front runner right now, but Mayor Quinton Lucas, he's been very adamant. Well, first of all, before the vote that failed, Quinton Lucas did say at one point the Chiefs will never leave Missouri. Okay. He kind of then went quiet on the subject. Wasn't giving a whole lot. He goes every Thursday on KCMO radio with Pete Mundo. And then recently, Mayor Lucas says the Royals will play downtown and the Chiefs will stay where they are by 2030 or 2031. And he spoke with a lot of confidence saying that. I don't know what it is that led him to believe that the Chiefs and the Royals are staying, but he had a completely different tone when talking about the subject of the Chiefs and the Royals and what they're going to do in the future. He had a lot of confidence in saying that the Chiefs and Royals are going to stay. You know what bothered me today about Mark Donovan's comments is when he was talking about how the vote was turned down, he said that there were a lot of people within the Chiefs organization who were really excited about the renovations that the Chiefs had planned. Why? What was so thrilling about those renovations? You had the activity zone, which I thought was cool. The activity zone was going to replace Kauffman Stadium. The only other thing you could do with that, in my opinion, would be to replace it with a parking lot. And if you saw the rendering, which is very unofficial, but the rendering that the state of Kansas put out, they have an activity zone right there to combat what the original Arrowhead proposal was for the renovations. But then the other renovations were like video board upgrades, which I don't think is necessary at all, unless you're going to come up with something new technology-wise to blow everyone's mind away. I don't know what you would really do upgrade-wise. They want to remove some seats behind the end zones and put like bar-style tables, like high tops. I don't really know if I want that. I mean, listen, Allegiant Stadium has something like that, but that's because that's Vegas, man. I don't want that at Arrowhead. Get out of here. Listen, the drum deck is cool, but part of me doesn't like it either because you removed some seats from the stadium. So I'm not really the biggest fan of that either. And then the other part of it, it's like VIP entrances. Who's going to use VIP entrances for that stadium? Like Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift and their entourage? Like Paul Rudd and Rob Riggle, Eric Stonestreet, Andy Reid when he retires. Like, don't get me wrong, I love all those people, I really do. But if a big part of your renovations is VIP entrances, I don't give a shit about any of that. The new Arrowhead, the things that they did 15 years ago, that stuff is great. I think it's a great look for the stadium. The Hall of Honor, of course, a huge addition to the stadium. I love that stuff. I think the Chiefs hit a home run with their renovations from 15 years ago. But what they were proposing for this time around, I wasn't the biggest fan. So when Mark Donovan says, "Oh, people behind the scenes were so excited," for what? What's so exciting? Maybe you guys are excited about it because it's a lot more money in your pockets potentially, and you can say, "Hey, we did something," but doesn't impact me. I don't know how many of you guys feel like you're impacted by that stuff, but I don't know. Just was not something that I was really sold by when I saw. I mentioned this from the get go. I'm like, these renovations don't really excite me. In fact, it kind of feels like they're kind of devaluing the stadium. Okay, maybe they'd make more money with those bar tables or whatever, but it's like, I don't know, man. It just looks weird. Because the thing about Arrowhead, it's just, a 360 bowl, seats all across the board, essentially. Yeah, they have the drum deck now. They have the high media press box and everything, and some suites there. But in general, it's just an overall 360 bowl of seats. That's all that stadium is. Nothing special with the stadium. The environment is a completely different story, though. Obviously, very special for obvious reasons there. But then when you look at a place like, if you want to compare it to other stadiums, look at Allegiant Stadium. They have the big torch behind one of the end zones, behind the McCall Hardman end zone is what I like to call it. You look at Gillette Stadium, where the Patriots play. They have that nice little bridge there, and ever since they won all of their Super Bowls, they've actually taken advantage of that and put all their Super Bowl banners across that bridge where people are walking by. So, there are some stadiums that do have like some empty space there, and they find some ways to make it look unique. And if if the Chiefs want to do that with their new Arrowhead Stadium, fine. Just make it look good. That's all I care about at the end of the day. There was another comment I had with Mark Donovan, but I don't have it in front of me. I kind of blanked out and forgot, but he's made it very clear. Options are open. The one big thing he did say is that they've got to make a decision soon. So within the next 6 months, before the end of 2024, they have to make a decision. They have to, because if you want a brand new stadium, you probably need to make that decision before, I would say, June of 2025, because if I recall correctly, Allegiant Stadium took 4 years. The whole construction project. I don't know how long SoFi Stadium took, but those things, I know a lot of people are commenting. The reason I'm making a big deal about this, I see in the comments, oh, they still have, 5, 6, 7 years. Yeah, that's not a lot if the potential plan could be a brand new stadium. You can't wait until 2029 or 2030 and be like, yeah, okay, we're going to a new stadium. No, you got to have that stuff ready to go as far as the plan goes, way before your lease is up. All right, enough of me talking. It is your guys' turn here. Again, for those of you tuning in late, comment below. Ask whatever question you want. That is the purpose of the Red Friday live chat. And we are going to start things off with Dwayne in Colorado, who is going to lead the team in receiving. I assume you meant receiving yards and touchdowns. Could it be one of the new receivers, or could Kelce get more touches because of the downfield threats? This is interesting. I definitely think Kelce will rebound and have better numbers in 2024. But as far as who's going to lead the team in receiving yards, I think it's going to be Hollywood Brown. I really do think it's going to be Hollywood Brown. I think Hollywood Brown will lead the team in both receiving yards and touchdowns. I think Kelce will have more receptions because that's always going to be Mahomes' number one go-to guy. And don't get me wrong, I think Kelce's stats, again, are going to be better than what they were last year. But I think in terms of receiving yards and touchdowns, I think Hollywood Brown is going to be the guy who leads the team in those two categories. I think in general, the offense is going to be better for a lot of people. I think Rashee Rice is going to have a better season. I don't know what the odds are of how many 1,000-yard receivers you're going to have. Probably Kelce and Hollywood. I think Rice is going to be on the fence there. I mean, you've got a serious possibility, if Rice is not suspended, that the team could have 3 1,000-yard receivers. The last time I can recall that, I want to say it was Todd Haley's offense. When was the last team? I want to be clear, not the Todd Haley Chiefs offense, the Todd Haley Arizona Cardinals offense. When was the last team to have 3 1,000-yard receivers? Because they had Anquan Boldin, they had Larry Fitzgerald, and they had Steve Breston, who eventually came over to Kansas City following Todd Haley. Yep, that's exactly that team. The 2008 Arizona Cardinals, the last team to have 3 1,000-yard receivers, Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Boldin, and Steve Breston. Larry Fitzgerald had 1,431 yards. Anquan Boldin had 1,038 yards, and Steve Breston had 1,006 yards. Yeah, it would not surprise me if Hollywood Brown had like 1,200 or 1,100 yards, and then Kelsey and Rice just barely surpassed the 1,000-yard receiving mark for 2024. 2024. I could see that being the case for the Chiefs offense. Appreciate it, Jason. Thank you, John. Appreciate all the love from you guys. You guys are awesome. Thanks, Michael. When do you think we will find out if Rice gets suspended? Bill's asking. Essentially, when the trial's over. It's Roger Goodell made it very clear that they're not going to do anything until that trial is wrapped up. When it's all concluded and figured out there on that front there, then they'll make a decision and hand down a suspension. And for all the people out there, not you guys, but all the Chiefs naysayers, the NFL's helping the Chiefs again. No, this is exactly what they did for Alvin Kamara. So it's like, chill. You know, the Chiefs aren't getting special privilege. I know you think they do, but they're not. Layla says, I think we're going to have so many weapons. This season is going to be incredible. I can't wait. Yeah, that is the thing about this Chiefs offense is that they have so many guys across the board. And even in the next comment, Elaine saying, looking forward to seeing Xavier Worthy. It's not just 1 or 2 guys. Listen, I still thought last year's offense had talent. Unfortunately, we just never saw it come to fruition. If Kadarius Toney can focus and eliminate those drops, he's going to be a better receiver. He's got the speed. We've seen what he can do already. McCole Hardman, his progress has been kind of slow, but the reason the Chiefs keep giving him chances and they brought him back from the Jets was because they feel like with his skill set, that's a guy that you just can't give up on. I know there's a popular sense out there that Kadarius Toney could be a training camp roster casualty when the Chiefs are trimming down to their 53-man roster. I'm not going to dismiss that possibility, but I still think the Chiefs would rather give him one more chance than not. Am I going to training camp? Lori says probably. Not sure. I am not sure. I don't mind the drive, but man, and I heard Mark Donovan say today they're anticipating. Last year they had record attendance sales and all that stuff. They sold a lot of tickets for practice. They're anticipating that even more so this year, which makes sense considering they just won the Super Bowl again. So I don't know. Because when you're at training camp, it's not as easy to pay attention to, especially depending where you're sitting. If you're sitting like near the front of the risers, you're not able to see a whole lot. You're just not, depending when you're sitting. So yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know yet. I'll have to figure it out. Someone give me like a really good recommendation for somewhere to eat in St. Joe, because I do not know anything about that city. I don't. I was seeing someone briefly in St. Joe, but she and I, we decided to be just friends. That's what that was. The 90s were exciting. Yes, they were. But these years are the greatest I could ever imagine. Listen, before Patrick Mahomes, the 90s and the Marty era and Derek Thomas, and then the 2003 season and that Chiefs offense as a whole, even the Joe Delaney era, which was very short, but still very exciting when he was out there. Dude, people consider those like the great years of Chiefs football. And now we can, don't get me wrong, it's not like we forget those seasons, but now we're kind of like, okay, this is the golden era of Chiefs football since the merger. Those other seasons were great, but it also had very limited success. The 90s, okay, somewhat of a lengthy decade of success there, but the postseason just wasn't good enough there. After the '94 season, you really didn't see a whole lot of the Chiefs in the postseason. As far as good memories go. This is a good question from Dusty. You see, Justin Ross is back out there. I have high hopes. Yeah, I'm excited for Justin Ross too, but what are the reasonable expectations? Listen, let me just name you the players who we have right now that we're all looking forward to seeing. This is just off the top of my head. Obviously, Travis Kelce, and I'm talking skill position players. Like, forget about Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice. I would even say McCole Hardman, considering how he ended the season, bouncing back after that terrible Bills game that he had. Kadarius Toney, I'm kind of still looking out for. Justin Ross, you mentioned. Yeah, that's a guy that a lot of people still want to see what he can do. Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Louis Rizamet is a guy that's getting a lot of attention. Not all of these guys are going to have 1,000 yards rushing or receiving or close to it. There's a lot of opportunities for everyone to succeed statistically and for all of us to enjoy. But that is assuming things go as expected. This is a situation to me where it's just like Justin Ross, his progress, according to Albert Breer in one of the, so the same day Justin Ross got arrested with that domestic violence matter, the same day an article came out. This is all a coincidence, not like any hit piece whatsoever. It's just happened to be a coincidence. It came out the same day. Albert Breer wrote an article for Sports Illustrated talking about how Justin Ross has had a very difficult time picking up the offense in practice. And I remember, listen, everybody had drops last year. We know that. But I still remember the Minnesota game. Justin Ross goes in there and 2 targets. He had 2 drops. It's like even he was dropping passes. And that's a guy who doesn't play a whole lot. I don't know how many receivers the Chiefs are going to have going into September the 5th. There are a lot of interesting names on this team. Definitely better than last year for sure. The expectations are much higher. But where does Justin Ross fit? Because you got Hollywood, Rice, and Worthy. That's 3. McCole Hardman, I would imagine, is 4. You also have Kadarius Toney. Okay, we're at 5. Sky Moore is a recent 2nd round pick, who has kind of been slow with his progress. That's a 6th receiver. Nico Remigio is a guy a lot of people are talking about. Okay, that's 7. That's your limit right there. We have Justin Watson, who's also coming back. That's someone who is a good depth player, in my opinion. He was one of the more productive receivers last year, but I would not want him to be the 2nd best wide receiver on my team. I would want him to be a good depth player, which is what he's been good at during his time in KC. So we're at 8. Now, I haven't mentioned Justin Ross yet. That's 9. I believe Cornell Powell still on the team. Let me just double check on that. Yeah, Cornell Powell is still there. They brought back Montrell Washington, who's got some good speed. I believe Phil Brooks is a local kid. Not that it has any matter whatsoever. They also signed Kyle Sheets, who had some success in Division II. I mean, not all of these guys are staying. They're just not. I don't know who your 7 wide receivers are going to be. Worthy, Brown, Rice, Kadarius Toney, McCole Hardman. I'm at 5. I'll give Justin Ross a spot, so that's 6. And then I'll go Nico Remigio. It's going to be either Nico Remigio or Sky Moore. I think those 2 guys are going to fight for that last spot. And I know people are going to say, well, Sky Moore's still on a rookie deal, so he's cheap. Yeah, but you can't be thinking about money when someone's just taking forever to get going. I think you just kind of, if he doesn't do well this preseason, I think you cut Sky Moore and say, look, we took him early in the draft in the 2nd round, just didn't work out. It was a failed experiment, and we move on with better receivers. I think you gotta just go with that, unless you want to put him on the practice squad. But I would imagine at least one team goes after Sky Moore if he's on the practice squad. Yeah, right out of the gate. That's what I want, David. We want villain era Andy where he acts like Belichick and runs a score. Yeah, that'd be nice to do. I don't need to see that all the time, but I definitely want to see that in that Raiders game. Listen, I guarantee you, if there was one game where Andy Reid feels like he's just gonna say, fuck it, let's run up the scoreboard, I would love to see it in that Raiders game. Especially like they're on their high horse because they beat the Chiefs on Christmas, and that's their only significant win in the last 20 years, because they haven't won a playoff game in 21 years. By the way, the Raiders playoff drought, that is old enough to have their first beer legally. So yeah, that's the Raiders postseason success there for you. But the comment that what's his name? The head coach made, Antonio Pierce, he made that interesting comment about how they have the recipe to beat Mahomes. Really? You have the recipe to beat Mahomes because you beat him when he had a really down year with that offense? You have the recipe? So the Raiders, who beat the Chiefs once every 3 years, all of a sudden now have the recipe. They have the recipe to beat Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Good luck. I mean, the way the Raiders won that game, and listen, they earned that win, give them credit for it, but 9 times out of 10, you're not going to win a game like that, especially with your offense, how bad it was. 2 defensive scores. I mean, those 7 seconds, 7 awful seconds from the Chiefs. That's why you won that game there. So if you mean what you're saying about having the recipe to beat Mahomes, you better go 2-0 against the Chiefs this year. Because if not, guess what? The whole, we're in an era where if you say something and it doesn't age well, you're going to hear about it. That didn't age well. I guarantee you that's not happening. They're not going 2-0 against the Chiefs. In fact, I'll tell you now, they're going 0-2 against the Chiefs. 100%. Like, what do the Raiders have that makes them a threat? Seriously. Like, Davante Adams makes it very clear on the show how pissed off he is at the situation with the Raiders. Oh, that's when he had Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, who do they have now that's better than Jimmy G? I mean, come on. Will Houston make the playoffs, and can the Chiefs beat them? Also, what are your thoughts on Diggs? I assume you mean Stephon Diggs. Yeah, Houston for sure is making the playoffs. I mean, they made it last year. And with that experience and adding Stephon Diggs and all the receivers they have, Tank Dell, I mean, they've just got a really good offense. I think inexperience kind of got to them in that playoff game against the Ravens. I think the whole situation there with Stephon Diggs, listen, he's a talented receiver. He's kind of comes with some baggage, though. It's not what you want. Does a change of scenery do that? Does playing under D'Amico Ryans change some things? I don't know. We'll see. But I think he's going to do great things. I mean, that is a big get. I think the Texans are the second best team in the AFC. I think we could see a Chiefs-Texans AFC title game this year for sure. Any news on the Rice suspension? Other than what I said earlier, no, not really. I mean, the NFL is just waiting on that. And Andy Reid even said they have not had any news, which I don't know if I believe or not, but that is what he gave. Hope Kadarius Toney fixed some handbrakes in the offseason. You and everyone else, Dusty. Everyone else hoping for that. Appreciate you, Jeffrey. Oh, yeah. We're all... it feels like this offseason just went by fast. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the amount of news on and off the field. But, yeah. River Falls, I watched Derek Thomas walk out with 2 women. Derek Thomas, man, he was a baller on and off the field. That's for sure. Think of it like the military and boot camp. You bond in your hardships and you're all on the same level. See, there's nothing wrong with that for sure. But the bed situation, especially for those like big offensive and defensive linemen, like nobody remember in the Hard Knocks series, who was it? I think it was Turk McBride or Tank Tyler or somebody. I can't remember who it was. They're like opening the sheets and showing, they're like putting twin size mattresses together. But you're right about that, David. Yeah. I'm sorry, Dusty. Yeah, I mean, you definitely bond over that kind of thing. It's just the whole dorm style. Like, listen, I went to Johnson County Community College. If you live in Kansas City, you know where that is. I went there for 3 years, and then when I transferred to KU, I guess academically, I was a junior. So I was in the dorms, my junior and super senior year, if you will. And I was just like, man, I hate this. So thankfully, I had my own room. So that was really nice. And on top of that, my student loans, that applied to my whole housing situation. Whereas if I had like an apartment off campus, that would have been money out of my pocket, not something I was able to afford at the time. But I do not miss the bed situation. Not one bit. The limited size of the rooms, okay, I could deal with that. Because, you know, on the weekends, if I needed an escape, I could just go home to my family in Overland Park, that kind of thing. But the beds, man, I definitely hated that. I love coming home to my own bed, the one I grew up in my parents' house, for sure, in OP. Arrowhead West, yes. Or the Arrowhead Casino. I prefer, I say Allegiant Stadium's Arrowhead West, but I think some people refer to SoFi as Arrowhead West. So, yeah, it's all the same to me, though. Blake says, not sure how Missouri can match what Kansas is offering. It's a really good question. It's going to take a Hail Mary for Missouri to keep them. I do agree. I mean, Missouri really, like what is Missouri's best pitch right now? Because I don't know what it is. I really don't. And listen, I'm not here to do this whole Kansas versus Missouri crap. I think that's the dumbest thing in the world. Like when people from Missouri are shaming the state of Kansas, and when people from Kansas are shaming the state of Kansas, why? Like this, you're in the United States of America. This is a state that's part of your country. I've never understood Kansas bashing the state of Missouri and the Missourians bashing the state of Kansas. Like, what is the obsession with that? If it's KU versus MU, sure, hate on each other. But here's the other thing, too, and I'm getting way off topic here. When people from Missouri, like Missouri Tigers fans, they're like, oh, I hate Lawrence. That city sucks. Okay, other than a team, a university you don't like being there, what sucks about that town? Because I've lived there and I love it outside of the beds and the dorms. And I hear this from people in Kansas. Oh, I hate Columbia. It's a terrible town. Why? Because the team you don't like is there? Like, what's bad about that town? Now, I've never been to Columbia, so I don't know. I've been to Manhattan. As a KU guy, I don't like K-State, but I like the city. I'm not going to let, the location get in the way of my fandom, of college fandom. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, the whole thing is just so silly to me. Like, do people in Canada, do people in Vancouver attack the people in Toronto, or the ones they attack the people in Winnipeg? Like, I don't get it. What is with people in this country wanting to mock and shame other states and cities in their own country? I've never understood it. I don't know. It's just weird to me. Let's see. Where was I? See, you got me going on a rant there. The Chiefs need to do what's good for the team. We will be fans no matter what, unless they leave anywhere other than Casey Mo or Casey. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, don't leave the metro area. That is the biggest thing I care about. Do not leave the area. Tyler says they need to build a retractable roof on the new stadium in Kansas. Yeah, it's going to cost some extra dollar bills, but with Star Bonds and the Clark Hunt being the second wealthiest owner in the NFL, yeah, I think you can afford that. Plus, it's like, you want the flyover to still be a big part of Arrowhead. But I guess, you have to understand, if you're going to go to a brand new stadium, something might have to go in the process. If you don't have a retractable roof, then the flyovers are not going to be the same. Even if it's a clear see-through roof, it's just not going to be the same. It's just not. Which is why whenever you see the national anthem for the Super Bowls, which a majority of them are in indoor stadiums, and they do a flyover, I'm like, why? The people in the stadium can't see. Anyone that's enjoying the flyover are people from home, and maybe like people who live close to those stadiums that get to see it in person. That's it. Because that's my thing. Like, anytime I go to a game, a Chiefs game, I always want to get there early so I can be there for the national anthem, the home of the Chiefs, and then you see the flyover. Like, that is a big part of attending a Chiefs game. Win or lose, you at least want to be there for that big ritual that they do every game. I mean, that's a special part of Arrowhead. It is definitely time for Arrowhead to get demolished and build the best stadium there is, David says. Yeah. The Royals are winning. I saw Bobby Witt Jr. blast a home run on his first at bat. That was awesome. In my opinion, the issue was the Chiefs were tacked onto the Royals build and nothing was transparent. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Which is why if the Royals want to move, why are you doing a joint campaign with the Chiefs? That to me was kind of weird. And I also agree, like, the Royals, they did not give us any logistical explanation whatsoever on anything. Literally nothing. Just nothing. Now, would the Chiefs be able to get a vote in their favor if they did things separately? Funny enough, I asked that question on my Facebook page and the mayor commented on it and said yes. Okay. Then why did you not do that before? Why did you not suggest that earlier? But I don't think that would be the case. And by the way, a lot of people are criticizing the mayor, saying he didn't officially endorse it until 2 days or 3 days before the vote, which I did not realize. I assumed with how hard he was campaigning with the Chiefs and Royals, I thought that was his endorsement. I didn't think he needed to do an official announcement like, I'm Mayor Quinton Lucas. I endorse this vote. Like, really? I did not know you were endorsing that, even though you had been campaigning so hard for the yes vote. The entire campaign was just weird. Not very good. They say bad concrete. I say bullshit. What are you talking about, Bob? Bad concrete? The stadiums? I have a place like Titletown in Green Bay. That place is awesome. I've never been there. But I heard about that mentioned the other day on talk radio. Yeah, a lot of people are hoping for a dome. Some don't want that. Peter Frampton was the concert fans tore up. Oh, okay, Lee. Yeah, thank you. I did not know what it was. Fans got on backstop and it fell on concert fans and several injured, believing 75 or 76. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'll take your word for it. Yeah. Listen, I've never been to a concert at Arrowhead or Kauffman before, but I feel like at Kauffman, you could use that video board like as a stage of some sort. Like, you could definitely use that to your advantage. I don't know if I would assume some musicians have taken advantage of that and try to make it look cool, but I don't know. Like, excuse me. I mean, that definitely would have to be a thing that you'd have to do in a stadium like Kauffman, especially the fountains in the background. That too. You honestly believe the Chiefs will have a decision in 6 months, as Donovan said? I think so. I mean, you kind of have to. I'll give it 12, but if you do not have a decision made by that midway point, of 2025, I'm going to be here saying, what the hell? I think they will have one before the end of 2025, but I'll give it 6 more months, Blake. 5 or 6, 7 more months. Because by the summertime of next year, you got to have a decision made. Like before training camp starts a year from now, around this time, like a decision. We should already know what's going to be going on with the Chiefs. When we see Patrick Mahomes walking to St. Joe to his dorm room for the first time next year for training camp, we should already know what's going on. All of our questions will have been answered. The Torch is a waste of space. Could add more seats there, Tyler says. Yeah, you could. But I think, listen, you could say the same thing about Kauffman Stadium. The fountains, that you could say that's a waste of space and that you could just add a bunch of seats there instead. But I think, that you got to find a way to make it unique. I'll say this. I mean, not a Raiders fan, of course, but I can respect tradition. I can respect history. And when I was there last year for the Chiefs Raiders game and the way they lit the torch and how they make that part of their pregame ritual, it's actually pretty cool. Like I can't shame any of that. Now, when they were singing the autumn wind and all that stuff, nobody amongst good old Raider Nation was singing along. I guess they don't know the words to that or what, but the whole lighting of the torch was pretty cool, I thought. So I don't mind it. I think it looks nice. I grew up going to Arrowhead. Lots of it are not broke. Hoping we don't modernize it too much, Vicky says. Oh, see, this is my thing. I think you have to, Vicky, if your goal is to bring in Super Bowls and Final Fours and all these other major events that you see in indoor stadiums. And obviously the Super Bowl, they'll go to some outdoor stadiums, but only in warm weather climate. Yeah, they tried East Rutherford, New Jersey, but that was not that's not something they'll do ever again. But I think it's time. If you're going to renovate it to try to modernize it, you might as well just build a new stadium. That would be probably much more easier. Yeah, it's going to cost more, but it would just be much more easier to try to do that kind of thing. We must throw ourselves in the pit like the Bills fans, but more accurate. Oh, Dusty. I made a joke the day after the Chiefs and Bills playoff game, because if you live in Kansas City, you guys all know this. The entire Midwest was hit with a blanket of ice and snow, and I made a joke on Facebook the next morning saying, "Be careful out there. The roads are icy. I've already seen a lot of cars go wide right, just like the Bills kicker." And Bills fans were pissed. Which, listen, I understand. I mean, the game had just happened the night before, so yeah. But by the way, I want to get into this real quickly. I'm a big fan of Mad Dog, Chris Mad Dog Russo, on his radio show, Mad Dog Sports Radio. He goes on ESPN for occasionally, and he talked about how he doesn't think the Chiefs are three-peating. And his reason for the Chiefs not three-peating was very interesting. He says that they're involved in so many close games. The Bills miss a kick. The Ravens imploded, and their rookie receiver fumbled on his way to the end zone. In the Super Bowl, Brock Purdy misses a wide open player in the end zone. It's like, wait a minute. First of all, if Brock Purdy hits the receiver, the game is not over yet. If Tyler Bass made that kick, the game's not over yet. Mahomes had 143 and 2 timeouts left. And on top of that, if we're going to get really like picky about one play going here and there, Mecole Hardman fumbled at the 1-yard line and the ball went into the end zone out of bounds for a touchback, giving possession to Buffalo. If Mecole Hardman scores, or at least doesn't fumble, the Chiefs go up by 10 points in that game. So to want to nitpick and say, oh, you know what's a really, I've heard this before, and people don't do it anymore because he's retired, but all of Tom Brady's Super Bowl wins with the Patriots were all narrow victories. So Tom Brady could have easily gone 6-0 with the Patriots in Super Bowl, or no, sorry, what was it? 9-0, or he could have gone 0-9. The only blowout win he had in the Super Bowl was unfortunately against Kansas City when the Chiefs had their backup offensive lineman. But my point is this. if you want to nitpick and say, oh, the Chiefs got lucky because of a missed field goal, a fumble into the end zone, and Brock Purdy missing a wide open player in the end zone, really? I mean, I can also bring up specific scenarios also. I can bring up how Mecole Hardman, his fumble, Mecole Hardman's fumble, whether Bills fans like it or not, and I've said this to many Bills fans and they don't like hearing this, Mecole Hardman's fumble gave Tyler Bass a chance to tie the game. Because if Mecole Hardman doesn't fumble, you're going up by 10 points. And the Bills are going to need more than a Tyler Bass field goal to get back into the game, to at least tie it or win. So, listen, I mean, there are so many. We can play this game all day long. Oh, if Kadarius Toney didn't drop passes in week 1, if Marquez Valdes-Scantling caught the pass against the Eagles, if Kadarius Toney was not offsides against the Bills, the Chiefs probably have the number 1 seed. We can do the whole what if game, coulda, woulda, shoulda all day long. It's funny because I think it was Tyler Boyd of the Bengals. I think he was talking about who was it? I think it was someone from the Rams. I think it was Odell Beckham Jr. who said that he got hurt, and that if he didn't get hurt, the Rams would have won the Super Bowl in a blowout. And Tyler Boyd responded and said, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But then Tyler Boyd says if he played in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, the rematch, then the Bengals would have won. Well, there's another woulda, coulda, shoulda there. See, you can't dismiss someone's hypothetical scenario by responding with woulda, coulda, shoulda, and then do your own woulda, coulda, shoulda. At the end of the day, they did not, the Chiefs said is, they didn't lose to the Bills. They didn't lose to the Ravens. They didn't lose to the 49ers. Yeah, they may have had some breaks. Tom Brady's had a lot of breaks go in his favor over the years. I've said this so many times. Great teams just find a way to be lucky. Maybe it's not within their control whatsoever, but that's just the way things work. Look at the Patriots. When they went 16-0, they had a few games that could have gone against them, but it didn't. It went in their favor. Now, the Super Bowl obviously did not go in their favor, but in general, all of those other games that were close that year, they could have been dethroned, and the 16-0 would not have happened if one or two things don't go their way, just with, the tip of a ball, tip pass, whatever. Fingers barely on the ball. Remember that one on Monday Night Football against the Ravens? We can do the woulda, coulda, shoulda game anytime, but at the end of the day, it's who won and who lost. Yeah, the Chiefs are involved in a lot of close playoff games. That's the playoffs. That's the way it kind of should be, right? But I don't know. I always think it's interesting when people want to, and I know Mad Dog is not against the Chiefs whatsoever. He said many times that Mahomes is the most talented player he's ever seen. And he also went on the record saying on the same day, oddly enough, that if the Chiefs three-peat, he's going to consider Mahomes the best quarterback of all time. His words, not mine. But I agree with it. Rams moved to LA in 2017, didn't play in SoFi until 2020. Yeah, that's a good point, Blake. You definitely need to make time for all those things. I want to say the Raiders construction was like 3 or 4 years. So I think Ray, Pacheco, Worthy, and Kelsey. I don't know what that means. Yeah, thank you, Ruby. Appreciate you guys. I'm glad a lot of you guys coming back. I understand there are some people who kind of go inactive with interactions and whatnot for the live streams, which makes sense because there's not a lot to talk about in the off season sometimes. But now we're starting to get a lot of people back. We got some new faces here, and we also have some people who are coming back, some familiar names. So it's always good. 2 years in a row, we've had 10,000 new followers during the off season alone. So huge thanks to you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys are the best. LRZ teased that the team has some creative plays for the new kickoff return rules. What will Dave Toub dial up? Yeah, that's interesting, especially with Justin Reed, what he's capable of doing for kickoffs. LRZ could also be part of the kickoff team. And then for the return game, guys like LRZ and Xavier Worthy are certainly capable of handling those duties for sure with their speed, especially LRZ with his size. So I'm very curious to see how that goes. Is this going to be Kelsey's last year? Tyler is asking. If the Chiefs three-peat, I can see Kelsey walking off into the sunset with that win. He and Taylor, They leave together. Maybe there's a proposal, maybe not. And that's just the way he ends his career. I think that'd be a great way for him to end his career. Man, it's going to be a sad day when Travis Kelce hangs it up, man. It really is. I still remember when Tony Gonzalez was traded, and I just said, man, we're never going to see a tight end like him ever again. We're just not. And I could not have been any more wrong. And I'm glad that I was wrong, because in my opinion, not only did you get a better tight end, and no disrespect to Tony Gonzalez, because he was great in everything he did, but Travis Kelce is the best tight end of all time. Plain and simple. He just is. I'm just worried about our left tackle spot. Whoever wins that job has to be solid. I agree. Yeah, you got to have, I mean, that has to be the most important position on the offensive line, the quarterback's blind side, especially when your quarterback's name is Patrick Mahomes. You have the franchise QB there. Fullback back in KC with Carson Steele? I don't think so. Maybe not, but I'm not anticipating that to be the case. I'd like for them to bring it back. I think the Chiefs have always done really good things with fullbacks. Tony Richardson, Kimball Landers. I thought Mike Cox was also very good and underrated. Anthony Sherman, obviously. So it is kind of sad to see that position go away in Kansas City. It's gone away in a lot of places. All right, we're going for more than an hour here. Let me spam right there. Listen, if you have to decide between me and College Football 25, you got to go with College Football 25, baby. Even Patrick Mahomes brought that to it. He's never brought a TV to St. Joe before, and now he has. Is McKinnon gone? Probably. Unless Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets hurt. That's the only, or LRZ, or Pacheco, God forbid. That's the only way I see McKinnon coming back. I'm surprised he's still available. Kareem Hunt is still available. Yeah, gotta protect him. Listen, Patrick's had 4 bad offensive tackle play the last 2 years. 4 different offensive tackles. It's got to be better this year. I hope so. I like Frank Clark. You can never have enough pass rushers in the NFL. Never. And that is something Spags would love to have for sure. Kirk says Donovan spoke only highly about Kansas and damning toward development and independence. He all but said Missouri lost them. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know if I agree with your assessment, Kirk. I don't think he spoke highly of either. I mean, he did say he appreciates Kansas and what they were doing. You know what's interesting about this comment is Clark Hunt did a press conference, and a lot of people on Twitter were like, "Oh, he's hinting that they're going to Kansas. They're going to Kansas." It's like, oh boy. Listen, in all these press conferences, and I've tried to listen to as many interviews and press conferences as possible regarding the subject. I don't think they've like kind of hinted in any direction, but Kansas does feel like the favorite. They certainly do. Sky is too slow to get clear, and Tony is hurt more than healthy. You're not wrong about that. Tony is just like, I want to give him one more chance. I really do. Pierce is a big mouth who is gonna look like Motor Mouth after we sweep him this year. He is way over his head and a big ego. Yeah, and to me, it's like, why are you so excited for this guy to be your head coach? Did you not see all of the low-scoring offensive affairs? And don't give me the BS about, oh, they scored 60 on the Chargers. So what? Against a Chargers team that gave up on the season. We're talking about that Chargers team. Okay, you know who else scored 60 this year? The Dolphins. How many playoff wins did they have? 0. Bob says he's going to the Jets. Probably. I mean, feels like it. You can tell he's not happy. Listen, I heard the podcast with Max Crosby. When he says, I have no regrets, and then says the words, but, and goes on this long explanation, that means you have regrets. Like, how can you sit there and say, oh, I have no regrets, but blah, 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 blah for 5 minutes rambling? You're basically saying you have regrets by not saying you have regrets. Come on. Raiders are a cocky team with an egotistical head coach who won't make it. This whole thing with him, by the way, Pierce, with the whole legal matter financially, if you can't handle your finances, how are you going to handle running a team? Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Maybe. I've seen that speculation out there. It would be a great idea. He deserves it. 100%. He's been the best center in the NFL. I would put him slightly above Jason Kelce the past couple of years. Yeah. And now that Kelce's retired, he's the clear-cut number one guy. Texas will have a large boost in strength. I think you meant Texans. Based off of last year's standings, would not be surprised by a step back this year. Oh, okay. I can see that. Let's see. I give the Raiders till week 7 till they explode. Listen, I said it all along. All the Raiders fans who are so thrilled about their new head coach, when are they going to call for his job? They're going to do it. And I'm going to be the one on here saying, wait a minute, this is the guy that you wanted to be your head coach, and now you want him out this quickly? I'm gonna be the one that's going to remind everyone about it, okay? Just be ready about it. Commitment to sucking. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate it. 17 years, man. That's hard to believe. Naismith Hall, no. So my first year, I was at McCollum, which does not exist anymore. It's now a parking lot. It's funny because my brother and we were in Lawrence a couple of years ago. I've not been to Lawrence in forever, man. I got to go back. But our waitress, I was just talking to her. I'm like, so are you a student or what's your backstory? She's like, yeah, I'm a junior or a senior. I can't remember. And I just straight up asked her, I go, have you heard of McCollum Hall? She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, you're young. I'm old. I'm not even that old. So yeah, the students today don't know what McCollum is. That's kind of what it hit me too. It's like, okay, now I feel this whole generation thing with KU. Now I feel it. But no, I was not at Naismith Hall. I was at McCollum my first year at KU. And then my second, which was also my last year at KU, was Hashinger Hall, which was nice because Hashinger did have like a cafeteria. So I did not have to go anywhere. And they actually had some healthy options too. So I definitely took advantage of that. I also had a nice view of the campus from my window. I wish I had pictures. I'm sure I have one, hopefully. But man, that was a nice view to wake up to in the mornings. Read the quotes from today. Donovan said the Dome and any retail entertainment and Independence is not happening. Yeah, I suppose. Somebody made a comment too. It's like no one goes in that direction unless they live there, which, listen, I've been to Independence a few times. I don't have many reasons to go there. But from, my experience, I like that area. Do I have a reason to go there? No, not really. The Legends does provide a lot of opportunities for the Chiefs, though. It's kind of like what you see downtown. So if you guys have a concert, if you guys are going to a concert downtown at the T-Mobile Center, my guess is, or if you're going to a basketball game, a Big 12 game, whatever it is that you're going to at the T-Mobile Center, I guarantee you a lot of you guys have either before or after the event hung out at P&L, eat, drink, whatever, hang out, and you then go to your concert. Or after the event's over, some people will stick around and will have a beer or two or eat whatever. That's kind of what I think they want with Arrowhead. Now, Arrowhead's not going to be exactly next to the Legends. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to look. I'm very curious to see how that's going to be. Thank you, Brana. Appreciate it. Love it. It's my favorite hat. It's actually a Royals hat. I'm not a big baseball guy, but you wouldn't know because it doesn't say Royals anywhere. It just has the KC Royals logo. So I love it. Appreciate you, Bob. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Okay, we're at the bottom. So we've caught up on the comments here. Real quickly, before I get out of here, I'll read one or two more good questions. Let me ask a big favor from you guys. You guys have been doing a great job with engagement on the Facebook page and all that stuff. So I appreciate all of you guys and everything you guys have done to help the Facebook page, not just the Facebook page, but also Instagram, Threads, Twitter, TikTok, all of that stuff. You guys have been helping grow. The one outlet that I really need people to add on is the Chiefs Zone YouTube page. So if you guys would, I just commented below on Facebook and on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you don't need to do much because you're already watching from there, but a majority of my viewers are on Facebook. So if you guys would, please do add the YouTube Chief Zone page. We're still going to do video content on here and on Instagram, don't get me wrong, but we're going to do more on the Chief Zone's YouTube page. So it would really mean a lot if you guys could subscribe to that if you haven't already, because that is something I'm going to be doing a lot of, especially now with training camp underway. Going to be doing a lot of content on there. Also, real quick, last plug, Wednesday's episode of the Chiefs Zone, that's going to be a big one. 7 o'clock live at night, Central Time. We're breaking down every single position group. So you guys do not want to miss that. That is going to be a very important podcast. So definitely something to discuss. Let's see. I'll read a couple more comments before I get out of here. Missouri lost to Kansas. Generational decision is not investing in community that won't invest back. Kirk, you seem sold on the idea the Chiefs are moving to Kansas. Listen, I thought the Chiefs would stay for the longest time, but seeing that just a recent activity from Kansas, I think Kansas they've got the upper hand for sure. Mayor Quentin Lucas keeps saying they're going to stay, but doesn't have like any actions to back it up. Imagine an undefeated season with a Super Bowl win and three-peat. That would be awesome. You know what's funny? I was thinking about that earlier today, but Robert, it would be. The idea of going undefeated into the playoffs scares the shit out of me, man. Like, this sounds a little odd, but I would rather they lose a couple of games. Like, I don't know, man. I love the team. I really do. But I can see a little bit of an ego trip from the coaches to the players if they go into the playoffs undefeated. Kind of scares me. So I don't know if I want them to go undefeated. It'd be great. You are right. That would be awesome. That'd be a historic way to do it. But when you add a 17th game, it's just not doable. Listen, you could be the best team in the NFL. You're still going to lose games you shouldn't lose. The Chiefs lost to the Colts a couple of years ago and still won the Super Bowl. The Chiefs lost a few games last year. The Broncos and Raiders should not have lost those games. Those things happen. So I certainly, don't anticipate that they'll go undefeated. Mark my words, the Chiefs will lose a game or two this year that they should not lose because that's just the way things work. Plain and simple. Before the season, I actually had the Chiefs losing to the Packers. And a lot of people, that's never going to happen. Well, did you say that about the Colts game a couple of years ago? No. Every good team loses a game or two they shouldn't lose in the NFL. Plain and simple. Hashinger Hall has been there. Yeah, okay, cool. My best friend roomed there, but he didn't care for the dorm food. Yeah, dorm food's not the best. So, Lee, help me out here. So, what is the big cafeteria on Daisy Hill? Because that big cafeteria sucks. I hated the food there. Like, that is the stereotypical dorm food. Hashinger Hall's little cafeteria, they actually had better options, which surprised me. So I'm hoping that's still there and will be there a long time. I don't know about the newer. I know they have a place called Self Hall. I actually thought that was named after Bill Self, but it's not. Apparently, it's named after someone else. But yeah, I really appreciated Hashinger Hall having that because, especially like when it was really cold, I did not have to go very far. I went on the side exit because my room was right by the side exit. And I was outdoors for like 5 seconds. And then an extra 10 because you have to use the main entrance. You can't get back in from the side exit. Appreciate you guys subscribing. Thank you. That means a lot. You guys are awesome. Let's see. Yeah, Ruby, all of us are. All of us. We're excited. Kansas successful with Speedway and the Legends. Great place for stadiums between there and KCK. Yeah, that's like the only area I can think of where you have a venue. Kind of what I was saying with P&L downtown and having the arena right by it. That's like the only place where you could really put something like that in the Kansas City area. The only other place I could think of is Blue Hawk in South Overland Park, but that is way too far south. The stadium would be closer to Lewisburg than it would be to downtown. So I don't, as nice as that area is. And by the way, I went to high school right across the street from Blue Hawk. So I still remember the days when that area was just land, nothing there. Now they have like a Whataburger, a Five Guys, a Jersey Mike's, grocery stores, all kinds of stuff. They have a Red Door Grill there. Hopefully they have more. Yeah, they have a hospital in that area as well. Advent Health, I think it is. And I know there's another Advent Health in Shawnee Mission, and they also have a fire station there, which is great. You know, anytime when you can have any of those, that's always good for the community. A stadium could certainly fit in that area. They have the room for it, but that is way too far south. Way too far. So the Legends is the only place that makes sense. Don't know about the Daisy Cafeteria. My cousin Eldon was the bird mascot. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Early 70s. All right, Lee. Know all that area toward Olathe and south. Yeah, that's certainly that's pretty far south. Yeah, Abner Haynes, man, rest in peace. One of the first players, maybe the first player, if I'm not mistaken, who had his jersey retired with the Chiefs. So rest in peace, legend. Okay, we will end right there. Hey, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you guys have a chance as well, go to Apple or Spotify, preferably Apple, and give the podcast a 5-star review. And anytime you guys can like a post, share it, comment, that helps with the algorithm, helps push all of the content out there, especially Reels and YouTube Shorts. Those kinds of things help as well. And you guys have been doing that already because the numbers have been going up. So I appreciate all of you guys. You guys are the best. You guys are awesome. So I appreciate all the support over the years, and I'm excited for another good year of Chiefs football. Win or lose, content-wise, we're gonna do the same thing that we've always done in years past. All right, guys, I am out of here. My name is Farzan Vousoughian. Thank you for joining me for this edition of the Red Friday Live Chat. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. I'm out. Peace.